Good morning, everyone. I thought I'd go through and take you through a tutorial on installing my brakes, rotors onto my 32 GTR. I'll just show you what we need and just try and give you some tips on how to do things. Just disclaimer, I'm not a mechanic, I do this for fun. This may not be the best way of doing things. Of course, if I do something that is not recommended, please tell me in the comments. Well, this is how I do it. So, I don't have much room. So, in my garage, I don't have stacks of room. Step one, of course, is jack up your car. Jack it up and definitely put it on stands. Never get under the car without using jack stands. Very dangerous. Don't recommend it at all. And then take your tire off. I believe it is a 21mm. So it's a 21mm socket. So these are the tools I use. 21mm socket with a breaker bar. And then this is a 19mm socket. That's to get the caliper off so we can get access to the rotor. And of course you've got WD-40, some brake cleaner, and a flathead screwdriver to give you help with the pins. And of course the hardware is here. I've got my brake pads, I've got my rotors, I've got some grease. Unfortunately it's the Bendix grease. I ran out of copper grease and haven't been able to go to the shops to get some, so I'll put that on the back of the Shims. It's supposed to help reduce squealing. And I also have these held braided lines, which we'll see if we can get around to installing as well. So, hope you guys find this informative, and let's start. Also, I forgot, always use gloves. These calipers are extremely dirty. Alright, so first thing is to pop off, I don't know what it's called, this little curly bracket that holds the pins in. So that's the curly bracket. That holds the pins in, that holds the brake pads in. So you pop it out. Please be very careful with this. Hold down this center plate when you pull it out the pins, because if you don't, it will flick out. It'll flick out and could hit your eye. Very dangerous. So once they're off, you'll now get the brake pad off. They're normally pretty stuck in there, so use your screwdriver. Out of that. Oh, another step I've done is I've cracked the brake fluid reservoir. That'll help so that it depressurizes it a little bit so you can push the pistons back in. So just pull out the pad. There you go, one pad. Once one pad's out, the other one's a lot easier because the rotor can move. So what I like to do here is put the pad back in, get your screwdriver in between the pad and the rotor. Of course, if you're going to get rid of them, this is something I'll do, but if you're not going to get rid of your rotor or your pads, probably don't do this. Don't do this step because you may scratch them. And I will push them back in, so I will try to push the pistons back in, because the new brake pads are definitely a lot thicker. Take the shims off first. and do it to the other side. Doing this stuff will definitely help you in the long run later on. I've been stuck here a couple of times. Rotors go in, they're thicker. Brake pads go in, they're thicker. And there's no way that you're going to fit them in. And pushing in those pistons without a proper tool, it's very, very difficult. Alright, so they're all pushed in. This one can get pushed in some more. So I'll go back to the other side. Beautiful. Make sure your reservoir's just loosened as well, just to make sure that, or else the pressure's got nowhere to go. And you're not going to have a good time. Alright, so now we're going to want to crack the caliper bolts on the back using the 19mm, I'm sure. Yep, the 19mm. These are on very tight, so you're going to want a breaker bar. So I just jerry rig one, give me 1 second. Alright. So I use a breaker bar with a jacket extension. Oh, looks like I've got some grease on me already. Happens very often. Cracked it. Beautiful. Now we'll go to the other one. So a good friend of mine called Elig, who has the other car on this channel, has always told me that if there's not enough, if you can't get something off a bolt, then you don't have enough leverage. So get a bigger pole. And to be honest, it's true. The more leverage you get, sometimes it's just hard under a car. You just got to find the space. Once you get a bigger pole, you won't have any issues. These are the two 19mm bolts. Put them aside with your shims, and your caliper will just come off. Be careful because you've got these hard brake lines here. So when you take it off, just be very careful. Don't try to just yank it off or pull it up. You will break the line. You'll have a bad time. So we're going to need to pull this off so that we can get the rotor off. So just very gently maneuver it. Enough for the rotor to come off. And then I'm going to just put it back on. Just going to hand tighten it back in if I can. Try to line it back up. So I put the screws in very gently just to take some pressure off the brake lines. Alright, so you can see they're in now. And then I'll tell you what I do next. So I've just got a dirty oil pan, I believe they call it. Here I'm going to put some brake cleaner on it. Just give it a bit of a, just agitate it a little bit. Just try and get any of the grease that was on the shims, which I'll show you. So these shims here, they've got a very thick layer of grease on them. You can see because they're black. They've got grease on them to help, like, squeal. So I'll just give it a quick spray. I'll spray the caliper and then I will spray the shims. Give them a bit of a clean as well. Make sure you have something underneath it, or else it's just going to leak everywhere. So spray, got a little brush, just agitate it a little bit if you can. Just the whole thing. What I'll do now is all my shims, little curly bracket, got these little side brackets that go onto the shims as well, pins, and the dangerous thing that flicks out that holds your pads in place. I'll put them in here after I give this oil pan a wash, and then I'll also brake cleaner them as well. I won't take my camera for that because I'm so dirty, so I'll get back after they're done. Alright, I'm back. Gave them a good clean, just putting the gloves back on. Right, so I've just given them a scrub with brake cleaner. They're a lot cleaner now. Just let them dry out a little bit. Now what I'll do is I'll take off the caliper again to put the new rotor on. It's on tight. We have these, what are they, DBA T3 rotors, slotted. nicely packaged. I like to just put them on without trying to touch them, just because these guys are dirty. And line up the caliper. Alright. Put the screws back in. Now we just nip it a little bit with the breaker bar. Don't go too hard. No need. Done. Alright, so calipers back on nice and solid. Rotors in. Now we will reassemble brake pads with the shims. I'll put some grease on the shims with the spandex lubricant, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it's all I got, so I'll just use that for now. This I just use my hands. So you put a layer of lubricant on the back of the pad. Squeeze it out. So I've put some on there, and we just spread it. Alright, spread it. Put your first layer of shim on. So what you'll do is your first layer of shim goes on, then you got your second shim. So I'll just take the back of that shim and I'll put some on that. And that shim goes back on top here. any excess lubricant, remember to just wipe off the edges, make sure it's not on the pad, because it is a lubricant. So give it a clean. Then put on the, I'm not sure what these are called, but they just go on to stop the pad from moving. And from there, do it, dropped it. Double checking for the lubricant. Alright. Slide that in. It's a little tight. Now we'll do the other side. More lubricant. Same thing. Back of the pad, spread it. I've been told to use copper grease instead. I just haven't been able to get any. Where this is the Christmas holidays and haven't really been going out. So first layer of shim, the back of the second layer of the shim. Just look like that. Just spread it on. Alright. Check for lubricant. It's leaked out or been squeezed out. Make sure it's not on the brake pad. Put it in. Wipe all the lubricant off your hands, of course. Put the gloves back on. Because I don't want to get any lubricant on any of the rotors or anything like that. Alright, so I've just pushed the rotor a little bit. Try and give me a little bit of extra room to put this in. Beautiful. Alright. Pads are in. Now, what you do is on the top of these pads and the bottom, there's holes that line up with these pins to go through. So I'll just put them in just to make sure that the holes are all lined up. Beautiful. Now I'm going to put the dangerous little bracket in, bottom side first. This is how I do it. Could be wrong. Line this up again. The bottom bit needs to be locked in, and then I pull out the top pin and then thread it through again, thread it through all the holes. Sometimes I need to just push the shim down because it's not in line. Check for the hole. Pad's a bit deep, so I'm going to pull it up a bit, and we're in. Alright. So at the end of the shim, at the end of these pins, they've got two holes. Make sure the holes are facing you. That's when this little curly bracket goes in, one hole each side. You put them in each side of the pin, and then you pull the middle to go into the hole that's in the middle. there we go. So let me show you what we've done. So, hopefully you can see this. We've now got my new brake pads in. Got the pins. Everything's secured in nicely, lubricant, and we've got my. Oh, a bit close here because I don't have room. This is my rotor. So all we have left to do is to put the wheel back on, and so I've already done the other side. So we'll put the wheel back on. Make sure to tighten the fluid reservoir for your brake fluid, or else you're gonna have a fright when you go stop. Before you drive, pump your brakes like 10-15 times until it becomes solid. Just pressurize the line again. Besides from that, that's the front's done.